I'm Makino, the Mega Bootcamp CEO and founder. So Sabrina and the Mega introduction and the Mega Bootcamp. The Mega Bootcamp is supporting the others of the company, especially the design for one practice with the Kyoto Stacknet. The Kyoto Stacknet is the SME small and middle enterprise factory in Kyoto. So officially, basically, originally supporting the Kyoto large companies like Notera, Nintendo, and Oliver. So they have a lot of the scale and knowledge of the manufacturing. So we already connected in using the SME factory, and so we providing the prototyping the service for the other company. And 2 months ago, last March, and we announced the fund for the other company. And so we call the stack fund. The stack is the meaning prototype. And the stack fund is supporting the others of the company. And so we providing not only the prototyping support and also the money through the investment. And today, the theme is the online platform for the startup company. And the Mega Bootcamp is basically like offline platform. And we actually introduced the startup company to the SME. And about this time, today topic is the online platform for the startup company. And so we talk about how to use the online platform, the startup company for the makers and the others of the company. And at first, today me and Greg talk about conversation about the online platform. At first, I want to ask the background of the thing. And why did you start the Hardware Massive? Why? What the point is investing the focus on the online platform?
Yeah, so my background, I studied chemical engineering at Berkeley, kind of did a little bit of engineering, but then quickly sold everything I owned to buy some ice cream stores to learn about business. And learned a lot pretty quickly, especially when I was a really bad manager. That was when I was 24, and I've just basically been doing business since then until I took over a quality management position for a tool importing company, U.S. Importing from China. And I got to China, and as soon as I landed at the factories, I thought, oh my Lord, there is so much opportunity to do this better. And we had drills exploding, we had screwdrivers bending, and these were existing products with, they've been made for 100 years, most of them, and we had our own factory in China where we were having our problems, and so that's how I got into hardware originally. That was about 15 years ago, and started my own business, Berkeley Sourcing Group, 12 and a half years ago, and between 12 and a half years ago and the foundation of Hardware Massive, which was really officially about a year and a half ago, we worked with 700 companies and saw a lot of the same things. And we could do our job well, which is the manufacturing and working with the factories, but they were getting stuck. There's two main sticking points. DFM, absolutely, design for manufacturing, and then product market fit, and really selling product fundamentally are the two main sticking points of hardware. And even though we could do our part right, we saw hardware startups failing in so many other ways. And mostly it was assumptions that they could do it themselves. You need a lot of help. It's really, really hard. You need to raise money, you need to have a vision, you need to build a team, and you need to work with the people who really know what they're doing. So kind of coming to that realization, we created Hardware Massive to facilitate that with the main idea that we didn't want to be just another platform that had resources online, because we didn't think that was sustainable. It's really getting face-to-face with people and hearing their real-life experiences that brings you together and builds a community. So that was that.
So when did you start in the Hardware Massive?
So we had 3 meetup groups 4 meetup groups that we started about 3.5 years ago. Berkeley, Tokyo, Berkeley,
Simultaneously.
well, first in Berkeley, probably for about 6-8 months, and then Shenzhen, Hong Kong, for maybe a year, and then Tokyo, something like that.
And so now currently you have about 27 chapters in around the world.
Yeah. So last January we had 4. Last January we had 4 chapters. Yeah. Today we have 27. So it's basically all happened. We kind of really officially launched Hardware Massive. We didn't like. I mean, Meetup was great for getting people together to one event. It was horrible for everything else. You know, for building a community, for getting people together around an idea. So we created a platform with my friend's help to try to build a community beyond just the event.
So I'm not sure that how should I solve that. How many members the digital years or network? So how many other companies? So I'm not sure how to calculate.
It's a little tricky, yeah. So on Hardware Massive itself, we have 2,500 currently. In our meetup groups, we have, not really sure, I don't check too much, but maybe 8,000 or 9,000. And then in our direct reach through community partners, we reach about 32,000.
That's good data so experience. So what do you think about the hardware software company, the particular problem compared with the software company?
Software.
Yeah.
Glad you asked me that question. So, software, basically, what's behind software is coding, right? And then the normal business stuff, marketing, raising money. But everything is much more agile. If you make a mistake in software, you can go fix it on your server overnight. Right? If you make a mistake in hardware, you just ship 10,000 defective products to the customer. Right? You need to update your tooling. You need to recall all those products. You need to deal with all of the customer complaints. There's huge investment. Right? Pretty much every hardware startup has large non-recurring engineering costs. You have large tooling costs. You have big development, prototyping costs. You have pretty significant minimum order, usually just to get going. That's before you made $1. Right? So there's huge costs, there's a huge requirement of the team, and fundamentally manufacturing is not built for small companies, right? It's built for big companies. It's built for large orders, large engineering teams, strict process control, quality control that people know what they're doing. So trying to do it for a startup is a totally new way to do things. The systems are not built to do that. They're changing, but you really have to. It's so important to see the big picture, right? Before you start devoting all your time to building that great prototype, look at what it takes to make your money back, right? What are all those steps? And when you look at that, there's about 30 disciplines that you need to know really well. Things that you might not have thought of, like packaging design or video shooting. When you do that, then you can work back and figure out your game. Usually you'll find when you really look at the big picture that focusing your time on your product should only be a very small percentage of your time.
So, for the software startup company, there are a lot of the accelerator, the business development and fundraising. So, for hardware startup company, so what is the current situation for the accelerator or incubator for hardware startup company? So what is the point compared with the software accelerator incubator?
Well, state of the market. Let me ask you guys, does anybody know of a big exit in hardware from last year, 2016? Any big exit?
What do you mean by big?
Huh?
What do you mean by everything.
IPO, acquisition.
Which did not work.
No, they did work.
That did work.
Does anybody think of one that worked? Right? Pebble failed. Fitbit is struggling. You know, we see a lot of the companies that we're expected to be the best. Formlabs?
Yes.
As a good exit.
Not yet.
So I've asked this question to about 1,000 people at events like this, and I haven't. Nobody's been able to come up with an example. So 2016 was a really bad year for hardware. People invested a lot of money, but there were no big exits. You look at a lot of accelerators. They've had 50 investments. You know, they've been around for 3 or 4 years. They haven't had a single money-making investment. You even go to a Series A, or, you know. So I think in 2016 we learned that it's harder than we expected. And that the strategy for software, which most people were using, is not the right strategy. At the same time, you have IBM just created an $8 billion fund to invest in Watson Technologies, right? Invest in startups for Watson. Siemens just created a $3 billion fund. Yeah, it was big money. You know, Panasonic wants to invest in startups. So I think what we really saw was a major shift that, you know, that really, I think, you look at Fitbit and Pebble, and they had such a big lead. I mean, Fitbit just was very greatly competitive in their space, but Pebble, they were the first smartwatch. They had great crowdfunding numbers. They had a head start, and then Apple and Samsung comes out, and then they just have no chance. So I think the shift is really towards merger and acquisition, right? That you need to really learn how you can play with the big guys, because it's going to be really, really hard to become the next Apple, right? To become the next Google. Those are, in hardware, it's going to be hard to compete at that level. Okay, I forgot your second question. I think we're sitting there.
So, in these circumstances, some accelerator for hardest company in hardware. And so I think that there are some online platforms for the hardest, the hardest startups like you. And so what are the difference point compared with the other integrator other online platform? So like the Asian Track. The Asian Track is one example. So they provided this online platform for the hardest company. So they are connecting the factory chain thing to the software company. So the integrator and online platform is happening already happening. So what the different point? So comparing the platform.
Well, I think there's really the only one that is really a platform, I think, is HW Track that I know of. There was Hardware Club, but they really pretty much more, they kind of gave up their organizing. The HW Track is very much focused on building kind of an internal community, I guess, where they guide the startups into the marketing funnel of going to their manufacturers, right? We're very open. We really want to, you know, our first goal was marketing funnel also with Berkeley Sourcing Group to get to know customers who could be a good fit. We quickly abandoned that because we wanted to become the biggest and best platform that would really look out for the startup's interests without having to worry about our own. So if you look at a lot of our sponsors, they're our most direct competitors, actually. We have Product Realization Group, we have, half of our sponsors are direct competitors of what we do, pretty much. Our goal to monetize is to provide extra services that can be done. So we just launched a virtual acceleration program, which is very different. We don't take equity. We just take cash. And it's a 10-week program, so when you get out of the program, you still have all your equity. It was a lot better for an investor.
So when did this test the virtual acceleration?
We kicked it off Last Tuesday. Yeah, and we're going.
You already
We started, yeah. So we started with our first customer last Tuesday. And we want to get a pilot run under our belt and make sure that we've got it all figured out. But I'm really excited. One thing that this really does is it will play well with strategic investors, because we can also provide them the deal flow from our global network, and we can do the due diligence for them to let them know how good this startup is. So we're looking for the strategic investors and the governments and some VCs to basically pay for the startups to do this. Right? The people that can really make the money out of it, we want them to invest for the startups, in the startups that they believe in, and then we bring them to the program and make them really good investments.
Is this like this program like as a batch program, the limited coordination, or non-limited?
Well, it's a 10-week program, so it has a limit of time, but it does not have a limit of location, so it's virtual. So a big difference is that we plug into, our mentors are not just the mentors within our accelerator. We really want to find the top people in the vertical. So if you're in educational technology, our mentor is the guy who founded the programs for the Gates Foundation and Hewlett Packard. And if you're doing digital, we have Steve Jobs' ex-boss, the Alcorn, who created the world's first video game. We want to get the top of the top, because those guys know the market, they know the competition, they have the network, and those are the ones that the startups we're really working with.
I think some Japanese company can apply for your program. And so today's session is this company gave a speech by English. So what do you think about the potential for Japanese harvest startup company?
Japanese student in particular?
Yeah, in general.
I'll tell you, great marketing, think of marketing first, and I think you guys have really done a great job of that. You built your product around a specific market need. That's key. It's going to be tough competition. Partner with people who can help you distribute. Right? Even if you have a great product and it's fairly unique, you're going to run into a distribution channel problem. So figure out really what is your value proposition. I like the drinking water thing. I've been looking for something that can easily fit in my life, that can remind me to drink water. I like that aspect, The hearables, I think it's a great market. Again, there's a lot of competition. I've worked with 3 people already that are doing, on paper, they look the same, right? And so the key is, how do you differentiate? Right? I really like hearables. I really like AR. Robots definitely are going to happen, but it's going to be a huge space. But hearables are hands-free. They can provide translation. They can do all of these other things. So the problem is as far as both of these companies have gotten, and as much as has been put into it right now, the hard work is just beginning. And I think the fact that you guys are global, that you're looking at manufacturing in Shenzhen, and you realize that for U.S. market entry, you have somebody in L.A., that gives me a lot more confidence. That will give investors a lot more confidence. So the technology here in Japan is amazing. Right? The design is amazing. The understanding of manufacturing is at a very high level relative to the U.S., much higher. So there's certain aspects that are perfect for hardware. The aspects that are not are cultural, which is typical tendency towards isolation, that you really need to reach out for help. Right? So you need to break down that barrier, and fear of failure. You're probably going to fail. Get over it. Right? If you don't try, you're definitely going to fail. So you have to be willing to get out there, to try, to accept failure as a part of the process. Thomas Edison, right? I don't usually quote him very much, but He said, I've never failed. I've just found thousands of ways it didn't work. That's really how you have to look at it, right? Is you're going to learn from every step. So there's a great foundation here, but there's a few key things that need to be overcome, and mostly community is going to be the thing that makes that happen.
So now you have the two champions talking about Osaka. So how do you promote the activity in the one time to promote in the country in the global market? So what do you think about how do you promote the general activity?
To the global market?
Yes, and just all the Tokyo and Osaka.
We don't hardly at all, because we haven't had the interest from the startups here for that promotion. The avenues that we have are our online platform, our resources, or our forum, you can go to, and Hardware Con, where we're combining a 2-day tech tour for international companies. And if you want to come promote your product, we have an expo. But yeah, we're dying to help Japanese startups. I think there's so much potential here. This is the hardest out of all those 27 chapters. This has been the hardest for me personally. This is the place I've visited the most, because I'm going to China, I'm going to Korea. It's easy for me to stop by, and I do have a lot of excitement about Japan. Our main way of promotion is through community partners, and you guys have been awesome, but we don't, here in Osaka or in Tokyo, we haven't found many other community partners that are really supporting the space. So my main goal here this week is to find community partners. I would love to talk to anybody who knows other groups, other communities that are supporting hardware startups. So please let me know. I would really appreciate it. But yeah, we need to find more.
Okay, thank you. So from that, we will receive the question from the audience. So, okay.
You gave some suggestions and advice to the wonderful guys sitting there. I would like to know a little bit about the distribution channel things. Is your organization Hardware Massive also supporting the startups in that area? And are there any tips that you can share with us now? So that is what I'm really interested to know.
Yeah. So we are developing that, and we're working with a couple different marketing and distribution companies. This is where the space is really changing right now, is that there are becoming more resources. That a lot of hardware startups have now gotten to the point where they have product to sell, but they have nobody to sell it to. And they go crowdfund and they raise $300,000, and they go make manufacturing, and they sell through those, and then they don't know what to do. They go back and crowdfund again. Know the numbers, right? The key to distribution, you have to know your, right? Where are they? Where do they shop? What do they do? What are their names? What are the demographics? Still, I think, although it's changing quickly, retail is hurting certainly, but still, over 80% of products are bought in retail, consumer products. So if you think you're just going to sell online, you're only going to reach 20% of the market if you do well, depending on your category. But my biggest advice would be, do not take it seriously. Right? It's just as hard as engineering. Right? All that time you put into and money you put into your prototype, it's going to take just that much work to build out your distribution channels. Right? If you're going retail, a lot of common some quick numbers. So usually retail is a 4x markup. A lot of startups don't understand that you need to provide a lot of margin to your partners. So whatever your landed cost is in your market, the retail price is going to be 4x of that. You sell it to a distributor for 2x, they sell it to the retailer. Your landed cost includes your margin, right? And then it's 2x to the wholesaler, twice more to the retailer. So make sure you've got enough margin in your product. Retailers want to see marketing support. They don't do the marketing for you. You put it on the shelf, and then you spend a bunch more money marketing your product, and you need to make it look really, really good on the shelf. So just getting into the relationship is not, you're still only halfway there. You still have to sell through. And a lot of the bigger retailers will make you buy the product back. So they just bought, 80,000 units. You're celebrating, high-fiving in the halls, and then 4 months later, you have to somehow come up with cash to buy 40,000 of those units back if you didn't do your job right. So, I don't know, there's a million things we could talk about in that. Right? Those are a couple things we've seen. Good there.
Make a good campaign, so don't get in supporting the distribution. But so I want to just explain some example. So some company that uses Amazon. The Amazon is supporting distribution for the some company. So they should protect the supporting also distribution.
I meant like distribution channel means more like how do we get to, for example, Japan, how do we get to sell in Yamada Denki or like in stores? So Greg's answer was pretty much good about that. So yeah. So Amazon, yeah, like FBA or something, right? Yeah. So yeah, that is just a way of selling the products online. Yeah. But how do you get to the retailers, or how do you sell in wholesale to such? Like the customer support thing, and you have to show it like your product is the best there, and if the retailers start retailing your product, they'll not fail. They will have customers buying it off the shelf quickly. So only then they'll let you.
So retail shoppers are looking for new product for the sellers or hardware company. And so some cases, crowdfunding company like Kraken in the US. So they're already connecting the retail shop, and they can connecting the product to the retail shop. And Isetan connecting the market, the space for the market the southern company, and they already setting the booth for the southern company. So details of channels, you should use the retail channel.
Okay, thank you. So Isetan and
Makino in Japanese crowdfunding.
These two. Did you say?
Yeah, any other crowdfunding site. So these are already they have the connection and each retail shop. And not only the online, the offline shop.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
And that's all. Last one question. If you
Let me ask you a question. So how would you suggest for Japanese startups to get connected globally, to the global community? That one, what is most important about that, and what are the channels where they can use to do that?
I think the character each startup company is looking for the connection by themselves. And if your service is like the Hardware Massive and Hardware Play, and Hardware Club. So I think the problem some other company use the network to connect the global network. So right now the current is looking for the partner as a contractor themselves. But one more some company are likely to use this network. And make a good campaign won't be the gateway for the global market, global connection. And if some start a company contact us, and I want to introduce some suitable network and suitable partner.
Sorry, do you have time for one more question?
Yeah, almost, yes.
One last question.
What good government programs are there here in Kyoto, Osaka for hardware startups?
Now, Japanese local government want to support the startup company because have to be entrepreneurship. Because as you know, Japanese economy the growth rate is always and so they hope that some the company they want to make a new business. So but now there's almost sort of menu for the software side, not only the hardware. So I think that some local government supporting some hardware, providing hardware something. And particularly Kyoto, so this program is supported by Kyoto City. So because only the hardware manufacturing. And some the local city and local government is supporting the hardware to make hardware company to make manufacturing to connect with global market. But now it's a few supporting from local government.
But I would mention Osaka Innovation Hub.
Osaka Innovation Hub is also supporting in general software and hardware. But the Osaka Innovation Hub is also based in the central Osaka. So they don't have a few space or enough space for the hardware. And so eventually they focus on software and such type. But Kyoto is the space and this space is for the hardware manufacturing makers. So some space in for the manufacturing, the Kyoto and other space, like IT. The motors based on IT. So some each local government is focusing on manufacturing. Okay.
All right. Can I have a question so quick? You just mentioned the government and the local government support of Osaka. Is there also one organization in Kyoto? Is the Kyoto Research Park you just mentioned?
The Kyoto Research Park is the private company and supported by the Osaka Gas. So they provide the space for the Osaka company. Yeah, but the KRP and the Kyoto Research Park is we call it KRP. KRP is there in the HR. The KRP want to support not only the software company. And I think from now, so they want to support the hardware and manufacturing.
All right. Thank you very much. Please give them a big hand.